This is the initial video in a series that covers the most significant aspects of operating co-ops and all other types of self-help enterprises. I must first explain that in this video I mainly refer to co-ops, but this term also embraces all other types of self-help enterprises. Other videos in this series focus on specific facets of organizing and running co-ops and outline the systems required to ensure that they operate as they should. However, it is imperative to realize that even where all the essential systems are in place, these alone cannot guarantee that co-ops will succeed. They only flourish as genuine co-ops when an appropriate culture prevails throughout the organization. What is meant by culture? The culture of an organization is revealed in the collective behavior of the people who are part of the organization and in the meanings that people attach to their actions. Culture includes the organization's standards of behavior, its vision of its purpose and function, and in the norms, working language, systems, beliefs, and habits prevailing within the organization. In practice, the culture is a set of shared assumptions that guide interpretation and action in an organization, and these define appropriate behavior for the people involved in the day-to-day activities. The object of the culture system in an organization must be to ensure that the prevailing culture positively contributes towards achieving the true purpose of the organization. Where an organization does not have a clear-cut purpose, it is unlikely to be able to sustain a positive organizational culture. Although an organization may have an overarching culture, in larger concerns there are sometimes conflicting cultures within various parts of the same organization. When I refer to systems, it is necessary to understand that these are human systems, an approach that is elaborated in the video, The Power of Human Systems. There are many organizations that appear to have sound policies in place and yet don't deliver the kind of services that they were set up to provide. They often do not achieve what they should simply because the pervading culture is at odds with its declared aims. Notorious examples of this kind of situation have been revealed in those health and care facilities where a defective culture has permeated the organization, leading to the extreme mistreatment of patients by those who should be giving compassionate care. This kind of situation arises in all manner of organizations where the necessary culture is not in place. Maintaining the right culture does not come about by accident, but by design. This requires that suitable practices be in place throughout the organization. The process of embedding the right culture starts when the expected standards of behavior are set out unambiguously. These standards must become the norm throughout the organization, and when they are recognized as the only acceptable standards of behavior. This includes, for example, that the culture is reflected in the recruitment practices, the training and empowerment processes, and the reward system, and provides the basis of relationships with all stakeholders. Culture is an important factor in creating success in all organizations, but in co-ops it is crucial. Predictably, creating and sustaining a positive organizational culture also calls for the implementation of a system designed to make this happen. This system is made up of a set of interdependent practices that are all needed to achieve the culture required. The culture affects the way that people interact with each other, including members, clients, staff, suppliers, and all other stakeholders. The culture required in co-ops is one where everybody involved in running the enterprise is committed to realizing the enterprise's purpose while truly serving their members. A major obstacle in determining the authentic culture for many co-ops is that the people involved are often unsure about their exact purpose and unclear about the true nature of their organization. Some insist that co-ops form part of their utopian vision, or that they are merely tools to be used to implement a form of social engineering, or are linked to a political dogma that co-ops have a duty to fund from their surpluses, while others think that co-ops are a form of charity or a business that uses its profits to fund good causes. It is for the members to decide upon their purpose, but if they are to be genuine self-help enterprises, their purpose will be focused on making improvements to their members' daily lives. For example, to supply healthy food at fair prices, to replace iniquitous moneylenders, to access decent housing, to get fair prices for producers, to provide decent jobs with meaning, to provide essential services when neither commercial businesses nor government is ready to do so, and at the same time building the capacity and resilience of their members and helping them to make better decisions about their lives. Achieving significant cultural change involves the adoption of clear practices that ensure the desired culture is sustained throughout the organization. This calls for the adoption of revised practices, clear-cut policies that are well understood and are implemented with commitment and determination. Cultural change involves changing the behavior of people, and in most cases, the process of change only begins when the language now used is changed to meet the required standard. This means changing the language from one that reinforces the old culture to one that embeds the new culture. There is little point in reciting so-called values, even when these are sincerely believed, or any other list of platitudes, as though these could somehow provide a mantra that will change the behavior of people running the enterprise. What is needed is the constant implementation of all the foundation practices which need to be supported by a full set of foundation policies. The foundation practices of co-ops are detailed in the video, The System of Organization for Co-ops. Where co-ops have become something other than a bona fide self-help enterprise, then before they can return to being legitimate, a massive cultural shift will be needed. If co-ops are to be enterprises that truly help to change the lives of their members, such profound change needs a fundamental change of mindset. Such changes can only be started and driven by their member leaders, who need to be well prepared, courageous, and fully committed to achieving the rehabilitation of their enterprise. Members must be confident that they will share all benefits among themselves fairly, and that they will have a real say in the running of their venture. All members need to be treated equally, not just in theory, but in everyday practice. In many consumer-owned enterprises, often it seems that everybody else gets a better deal than the grassroots members, and who are often missed out or sidelined. It's commonplace to find that employees and directors get discounts applied to their purchases, while senior managers get all manner of perquisites. Staff, students, nurses, and other groups get exclusive deals. Meanwhile, the ordinary member, who owns the enterprise, is often treated as no more than a third-rate customer. Their so-called leaders make speeches about their commitment to the values of fairness and equality. In these circumstances, it is any wonder that their members are neither committed to nor feel in any way engaged by their enterprise. Some people with key roles in co-ops are often fond of talking about values and principles, but this can become extremely damaging to any enterprise if these are shown to be mere platitudes. Values are worthless unless they become the standard for actual behavior. Such standards will not be maintained unless they are backed up by effective systems built on sound practices that support the implementation of the essential norms of behavior. This happens when leaders do not live out the essential culture of the enterprise. Codes of practice can play an important role in supporting the right culture, but most important is the complete commitment of its leaders to the spirit of any such code. Leaders should prove their commitment by their personal example, or to put it another way, leaders at all levels must always walk the talk. If any policy is to have meaning, proper sanctions and rewards are needed to support it. Hypocrisy is the great demotivator. When members, leaders, and senior managers work to double standard, the result is cynicism. This causes the destruction of goodwill and a lack of commitment to the enterprise, disaffecting members, employees, and other stakeholders alike. Hypocrisy is like a plague. If an organization does not have in place the hygiene factors to prevent its spread, it can end up killing it. Organizations need a set of practices that ensure that hypocrites are outed as soon as ever they reveal themselves. A code of cultural practice, an agreed acceptable terminology, and prohibiting the use of platitudes and meaningless statements can all help put an end to hypocrisy. Members of co-ops have a profoundly different role to that of customers. All types of consumer and community-owned enterprises should only have members and prospective members. In producer and worker co-ops, they do have customers. In worker cooperatives, they should only have members and probationary members, but not employees. Customers of worker and producer-owned enterprises should never be regarded as people who can be tricked into buying goods or services. Customers of these types of co-ops are important people with whom the enterprise must build long-lasting relationships. Without the basic distinction reflecting the importance of members, the essential culture within co-ops will not be achieved. Acceptance of the importance of the self-help mindset, or the lack of it, will profoundly influence the culture of the enterprise. Many commercial businesses seek to create dependency on the part of their customers, employees, and suppliers. However, the presence of the self-help mindset means that the relationships between the organization and its members should be of a different order. Relationships are forged with members built on strengthening the capacity of the individual to deal with situations arising that threaten their well-being and helping them to respond positively by taking mutual action to deal with their problems. A complete set of interdependent practices are needed if co-ops are to build the kind of culture that must prevail. These practices include that members are always put first, nobody gets a better deal than a member, all members have equal access to all deals, transparency in all dealings of the enterprise is the norm, induction, training and updating are routinely provided to all those dealing with members. This is to ensure that all involved in the enterprise know how a self-help enterprise needs to operate. Honest communication needs to replace all the spin, misleading practices and management speak, which is so often the currency in commercial businesses. Everyone throughout the organization must realize that a different mindset is required in co-ops. This means always working in the best interests of members and never exploiting their weaknesses. Education to empower is an essential element for all co-ops. Leaders must always be conscious of the fact that many of the people that need to change their attitudes often have a personal stake in safeguarding their present positions and livelihoods. This can cause them to resist much needed change and can block the pathway to realigning the individual's interest with the purpose of the enterprise. So this awareness must be integrated within the enterprise's people development system. It must be accepted that sometimes cultural change only occurs when those unwilling to accept essential change are replaced. For more detailed information about developing and sustaining the organizational culture of co-ops, please see the book Enterprises That Change Lives. To get this book, visit the website Co-oppundit.org. Find out more about self-help enterprises and how to run them successfully by watching more videos in this series and by viewing all the pages on the Co-oppundit website. It's recommended that you watch the next video in this series, which is Making Markets Work for People. Thanks for watching. Please join me for another video session soon.